back to Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney, and we got to get finished with this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding for this Iran and U.S. war and all that good stuff. Okay, look, y'all. There's multiple episodes and stuff, but it's good stuff. You gotta listen to it. Go through the list. I think about three episodes combined, or maybe 3 or 4 combined. But it's so worth it. And forgive me for my stumbling on words and everything, but I'm getting in the flow of things and stuff. I got total confidence in what I'm doing. It's just sometimes I step away from it so much that I'm not in the flow of it, and I jump on and I try to not say certain things and articulate certain things in certain ways, and it makes me hesitate, and I should just come out and just say what I feel. You know what I mean? But it's something that I have to repetitiously train myself to just do it, So we got to finish up. We left off at 7 on the 14 list of memorandum of understanding. What I did was in the previous episode, I'm using various of outlets what it says that's in the memorandum, because a lot of people, they're just kind of giving you readouts of what was said of what's in the memorandum, leaks what was said in the memorandum, but it's an actual document that was signed by the president of Iran and was signed by the president of the United States of America, Trump. So I'm trying to make sure that we got pretty much what is in that memorandum. So I use multiple sources to actually give you guys a most likely option of what's in the memorandum. So we were on the Israel-Palestine report with Professor Brustein. That's Burstein. His page is called the Israel-Palestine Report with Professor Brustein. So we left off with him on number 7. So we're gonna go to number 8. We're gonna wrap it up with him. I'm gonna talk to you about some other options of what was most likely in it. So far, it seems like all of them are pretty much coming very close to what they all are saying. So I'm gonna give you a third option, going through it and looking at the document ourselves and everything like that, and then we're gonna move to some press conferences and interviews and good stuff like that. So okay, look, y'all, sometimes to get into politics is so wonky, and I love it. I love data, I love information, and I think the power is information. How more informed you are, it gives you power and everything. But I do this in the midst of me, like, out there on the hunt, like being a man, providing, like, even like conquering my own goals and stuff like that, and overcoming obstacles of just the time we're living in, because it's no matter how even kill you might be, or let's say, like, no matter how respectful you want to be to the journey of life, to what's going on with your life, what's going on in people's life that and everything like that, the demand of life demands that you be very aggressive. So in the midst of me doing all that stuff, I exhaust myself. I physically just kind of wear myself down, because I'm trying my best to use all the possible hours in a day. You know what I mean? So me going like that for years and stuff, and then even though I had to kind of walk away from a lot of noise on 6 films and stuff. And as a filmmaker, you can't do that stuff by yourself, and you need a system. You need a team, an economic team too. And for me, the only way I was going to ever see those films get to where they needed to be is I literally had to retract myself from everything and everyone and fund it myself and get it to where I needed to be at. And because the visionary and the vision and the actual objective initial goal is always the outcome for the audience. So for me to kind of get myself into a place where I could kind of do that, it's a lot. It's still a lot on a day-to-day basis. So when I come on here, I know 250 hours of a month and podcasting and aggressively hitting you guys with content and stuff. I just got to do it. It's a lot. And then you like, because for real, that's a lot, you know? So to do 9 hours a day of podcasting and stuff like that, that's brutal. When I'm out there making it and getting it and out there aggressively doing like 12 to 16 hours a day of like on the hunt, you know what I mean? So I just want you guys to know, when I talk about this stuff, it's so purposeful for me. I don't come in just want to talk about the Iran and Israel war and the Memorandum of Understanding. I want you to understand how important, how they articulate, how it's communicated, what's the actual delivering of talking points to the average public consumption, how that actually, if you look at your whole life and the different interactions that you having and problems that you may be having, it's all encompass that kind of structure that the world wants you to be the fool that's just like, you're just like a ping pong. You're just going wherever life hits you at, instead of you like taking control and you being the ping pong player, you know? So I'm not going to get into too much philosophical stuff. Okay, so let's get back into it. Let me put it back on the screen here. So we can kind of, let me look and see. I got multiple screens, so I want to make sure that we're looking at the right thing. Boom, go to Safari. Boom. Okay, there we go. And I think that's it. Okay, can you see it on your screen? Okay, let me test my audio to make sure that you guys, I'm not talking to myself and you guys can hear me. Looks like my audio meters is on and it looks good. Okay. I don't know. I can't hear nothing. Let me go down to it. Yeah, I'm live. I'm live. That's interesting. I'm checking another monitor. See? Okay. So we good. So I don't know what's up with my headphones. I'm supposed to hear it on here. Check. Yep. Okay, guys. Let's just let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay. So let's get back to the professor and let him bloviate.
Secondary. That is a major game changer. As a reminder, back in 2015.
Yeah, see, I don't want to hear what he got to say. I want to just go to the next
deal
one.
Was signed with Iran that had massive limitations that were placed on Iran's enrichment, so the United Nations sanctions, as well as of the Atomic Agency. Now, what does this relate to? Those sanctions were because of the nuclear program. Article 8. The Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates that it will never produce nuclear weapons. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States have agreed that the fate of the enriched materials and the fate of the other mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, will be adequately addressed in a final agreement. The final agreement will confirm the provisions of this article.
You see that? And from the previous, from what Al Jazeera, how they summarized it, they just had it as that they would not procure and they would not um, develop nuclear weapons. But it's more detail in there to how the real language most likely is, and this makes more sense. The Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates that it will never produce nuclear weapons. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States have agreed that the fate of enriched material, meaning that they can't even make uranium, they can't make any item or material that will make nuclear power, that will make nuclear weapons. Even if they were trying to use it for just nuclear power, they can't enrich anything. No materials, because the enriched material mean that you have the possibility of turning that nuclear uranium into a nuclear bomb. So they can't even do that. So this makes more sense and details what's going to be in the final agreement. So even though this is in the document that they signed, everybody's taking what's in the document and they're doing a summarization, and they should just have it by the letter of what's in the actual agreement. So let me read that last part again. The Islamic Republic of Iran and United States of America have agreed that the fate of enriched materials and the fate of all other mutually agreed nuclear related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, will be adequately addressed in the final agreement. The final agreement will confirm the provisions of this article, but they can't have none of that. You get what I'm saying? That's the agreement. That's the final agreement. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we already bombed the place up and bombed the nuclear stuff up. And you got to remember, this is a leak before the release of the actual real thing. And in the real thing, they say that they would not procure or develop any nuclear waste. So that breaks down what they actually, how deep into enriching the material or anything. They can't even have it for nuclear power. You give it for nuclear power, you giving it for nuclear weapons, because they enriching the uranium. Once they got the enriched uranium, it's too much for them to just, like, if they're doing as much as they want just to use it for nuclear power, then that's no difference than them just enriching uranium for a nuclear bomb. So they got, once you get the uranium, it's over. So no matter what, any country, any place, if you are enriching uranium, you have the power of nuclear bombs. It's just you gotta just put a warhead on it and do certain conversions. That's it. But once you get the uranium, you have the power of the nuclear bomb. So that's a no-no. You know what I mean? That's why people use it for they use nuclear power for power generation, for generating energy and stuff, because it's so powerful. If you ain't exploding it or you're not like using it as a bomb, that's how powerful the energy of it recycling itself can be. You wouldn't even want that in the hand of a person that might be able to turn, or a country that could turn it into a nuclear bomb, because it's, once you do the uranium, it's a nuclear bomb. Once you enrich the material, it's a nuclear bomb. So that's that. So we know that number 8, the actual true wording of it and the final agreement will be confirmed in the provisions of this article. You get what I'm saying? That means no way we letting them have that. That's number 8. So let him finish up.
In other words, right now, the Memorandum of Understanding does not actually say what's the fate of Iran's nuclear program. Article 9 is going to also elaborate on this, but for now, just looking at Article 8, we see, first of all, the Islamic Republic reiterating that...
Well, I told y'all what it means, so let's go to 9. I'm doing my own commentary on it. I don't need yours, sir, Mr. Professor. You know, so really don't. I really don't.
Is to talk about this later. Right now, things are going to stay as they are. And because of that, I'm actually going to Article 9 that says the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that, pending a final agreement, they will maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the status quo on its nuclear program.
And what is the status quo on their nuclear program? Don't just say it like that. They will maintain the status quo on Iranian will maintain the status quo on its nuclear program. What is the status quo? We blew that shit up. It's at the bottom inside of tons of like thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of rubble. And they can't even excavate it. They can't get it out. They can't even get to it. They can't even get to any, like, to even whatever. They could kind of try to see if they could go and preserve it, because they built it inside the mountain and we crumbled it all into it. We literally had bombs that actually go, it comes down and it actually penetrates into the mountain and it hits the floor and it explodes. And it did that and buckle all that stuff. So really, they don't really have a nuclear program, and whatever remnants of it that they did have, it is completely destroyed inside of rubble. You get what I'm saying? So the status quo of their actual nuclear program is just crumbled and mountain, and they can't get to it, and they have no operation of it. And we have satellite cameras, and this is something, like I said, this is something that Donald Trump decided to release publicly and communicate this publicly to people, that we have 9 satellites, Space Force satellites, looking at the whole area where they do their nuclear program at, and that we actually destroyed. And so if anybody come in there trying to grab or go dig or do some weird stuff, because obviously you need a hell of a company, you need a hell of a technology from America and China to go in there and do it. We actually, when we seen trucks come up to there and try to get in there and all that stuff, or try to do something, or try to do recon on it, we blew that shit up. So we doing drone hits to anybody that come next to that mountain. We're watching it, we're observing it, we looking at the heat signals. They so good, and the technology of what's in the sky for satellites and stuff, that we're seeing, like, even the name, they make fun of it and they say the name tag of people shirt, so that's how detailed we're able to oversee that area where that mountain, that we crumbled the mountain into it. So if, obviously we don't really need to go hit it again, but if we do need to hit it again, we will. But we have hit, like, drone attacks or anybody in that area trying to do anything, just to tell them, stay away. This ain't yours no more. We'll oversee this. And it's nothing you could do. It'd take you decades to be able to dig this up and build it again. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost like the status quo of your nuclear program is our destruction of it. That's where we want you to keep it at. Don't try to redevelop it. Don't do nothing. Stay there. That's what they're saying in this number 9.
And the United States will not impose new sanctions on Iran or strengthen its forces in the region. So in other words, if we combine Article 8, if we combine this idea that the enriched materials, the fate of all other mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, when Iran says it wants a nuclear program for the production of energy, production of electricity, nuclear power, will be adequately addressed in the final agreement. Article 9 comes in to say, and the sides are agreeing, basically this is okay, that right now nothing new is going to happen. Iran's not going to, theoretically, if we look at Article 9, that says that Iran's not going to enrich any new materials. It's not going to continue the enrichment program. And in turn, the United States is not going to see anything that Iran does as cause for more sanction or strengthen their forces in the region, which is a major limitation.
Meaning that we'll blow their ass up. We'll bomb the hell out of them again. Okay, we can move to the next one. Yeah, I just wanted to look. I'm trying to be objective and give you guys the full thing, but let's move to the next one.
Or strengthen its forces in the region, and Iran will also maintain the status quo with its nuclear program. 10. The United States undertakes that immediately after the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding, and until the date of the lifting of sanctions, the United States Treasury Department will issue waivers for exports of Iranian crude oil, petrochemical products and their derivatives, and all related services, including banking, insurance, transportation, and the like. That is
Meaning that if they be a civilized country, will open up the economy to them, and they could be like get enriched to take care of their people, to be a functioning society. But you can't have nuclear bombs and stuff like that, and you need to kind of get over this like Islamic mindset to take over the world and stuff, which they may not do that, and we may have to blow them into smithereens, but under the conditions, they don't get anything until they got steps where we seeing them actually do what they're supposed to be doing. Okay?
something that also Iran demanded in most of the negotiations, saying the lifting of sanctions takes time. For example, one of the most crippling sanctions on Iran has been its removal from the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system, the main mechanism.
The SWIFT system is our currency. Is how the world does transaction with money, and that's what I was telling you guys about. That is all in the U.S. currency. SWIFT is a U.S. like transactional structure, a system that the world uses to transaction money. You get what I'm saying? To deliver money, to calculate money, to say this is how much money I got if I'm in Russia and I made this amount of money in rubies. This is how much I got in all the other currencies in the world, because all money is like dollar amount, like even rubies, they're kind of converted into the dollar, and then they compute it into back into ruby. So Russian banks or banks of different countries can see how much that actual citizen has in the bank. But the transition of that to actually make it show up as a actual amount, that system is called SWIFT. So it's in every currency structure, every banking system in the world, and it all operates on the American dollar, on the U.S. currency. So right now, Iran don't have any control, any power, any like they're sanctioned out of it, and only we can give them value of a dollar.
Of moving money internationally between banks, you need a SWIFT code. If you are removed from the SWIFT system, your ability to carry out international banking transactions is extremely limited. Even if Iran is removed from the sanction lists, that'll take time. The attorney Iran demanded immediately removing the sanctions on its export of oil. Lots of rumors that the United States had agreed to this.
Let's go to the next one.
This is just as a preliminary mechanism until the larger lifting of sanctions that will happen later on. 11. The United States undertakes that, in light of the progress of negotiations towards a final agreement, frozen or restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran will be released and made fully available. So that is associated with the removal of sanctions. However, in addition to that, frozen assets, of which Iran has, according to reports, about $24 billion worth of assets around the world, many of them in Gulf countries themselves, that the United States has imposed on those countries, again, those secondary sanctions, has imposed that they be frozen. In addition to that, they will be released and made available contingent upon progress in the negotiations.
Absolutely.
Next sentence.
So all they kind of, it is, and a lot of this is worded in favor of a lot of Iran to kind of come to the table and do the negotiations. So that's why it sounds favorable for them, but really you gotta look at in progress of the negotiation, and the negotiation towards the final agreement. The final agreement was that they actually make progress and they actually abide by the final agreement. It's condition of, and you just got to read through the line to what he's saying and another outlet saying, and what the actual document that we're kind of reporting, even in America, what that says. Okay.
is very important. These funds, whether held in the master accounts or transferred, will be used for any final beneficiary payment determined by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran and will be fully available for use. The United States undertakes to issue all necessary permits and licenses on this basis.
Meaning that we have to give the permission for them to be able to utilize money any way that they want. And until we like what's in the deal and that the deal is somewhat finalized and the actual implementation and execution of the deal and the agreement is done, they ain't getting that kind of power. Trust me. Especially not these next 2.5 years with Trump. They definitely not. Okay? So let's go to the next one.
Demanded in the negotiations. 12. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agreed that an implementation mechanism will be established to oversee the successful implementation of and commitment to the final agreement. Again, this is something that is...
Let me read that again. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America agrees that an implementation mechanism will be... Okay, I talked to you guys about that already in the previous episode. Be established to oversee the successful implementation of and future commitments to the final agreement. Meaning that to make sure that Iran meet up to the standards and meet up to the demand of the deal in the final agreement, there's mechanisms, there's certain things that will prove that they're actually abiding by the agreement on both sides, that we're releasing funds when we're saying that we're going to release funds, and that's all it is. Us releasing funds is based on what their things that we are securing ourselves to what we need them to do, that allows for them to not be able to backtrack and do anything besides what we technically need them to do for the outcome of getting rid of their nuclear program, disintegrating it, and all that other stuff. Them not sending money to Hezbollah or Hamas or any crazy stuff. And then they actually functioning, using their money in a way that we can keep track of in our intelligence and all other stuff. And certain things that we're going to make sure that they do, and it's mechanisms to make sure that they did it, and vice versa, us releasing funds to them and stuff like that, and to the final agreement and all that stuff. That's what they're saying. There's going to be mechanisms to make sure everybody's doing what they said they're going to be doing. So that's all that is.
A repeated theme of the different Trump agreements that have happened throughout the Middle East and in other conflicts. There's always this attempt to set up a mechanism to say this is not just about good faith between the sides. This is not just the United States says this, Israel says this, Iran says this, and now they all live happily ever after. But instead, the sides agree on a joint mechanism that will monitor the ceasefire. The aim of this is that if there is a breakdown, it's not an automatic return to war. Rather, you can file complaints with this international mechanism. It worked to some level of success in the ceasefire that was broken between Israel and Lebanon, and thereby proxy Hezbollah, in October of 2024. Had less success elsewhere, but this is one of the things that they've put in here. 13. Following the signing of this memorandum of understanding and upon receipt of assurances regarding the commencement of implementations of Article 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this memorandum of understanding, and the continued implementation of these steps, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States will enter into negotiations for a final agreement solely with respect to the remaining articles. What does that mean? Both sides are saying we want to see proof that this is being implemented before entering into negotiations. The negotiations are supposed to be the final.
Well, that would be us taking out our blockade and them opening up their side of the Strait of Hormuz. That's already going on right now. Like I told you, it was 100 ships in there, oil ships and stuff like that in there, and they all start coming out in the last. I'll be shocked if they got any like boats or ships in there stuck in there on Monday or during next week, because I think they've been getting like 24, 30 ships out daily. So I think it was only 100 in there. So they should be all pretty much in transit You know what I mean? By Monday, or I'll say even by next week. So obviously we show some actual guarantees of or progress towards it. They show some progress towards it. Obviously they got a problem with Israel and Lebanon attacking Lebanon and all the other stuff, and that could kind of make Iran think that they got a like leverage to not come to the table, but they better come to the table, because otherwise we'll spend July just bombing them and getting it all over with. Where we don't even need to make a deal with them, because they have no oil, they'll have no bridges, and they will have to eat off. The people would be completely disheveled, and like Trump said, it will actually lead to like a refugee issue and all the other stuff, because they got to go somewhere to go eat. They got to go somewhere to go try to live, because there's no living structure or no economic function in Iran if we do those bombing of the oil fields and the bridges. So at any given time we could do that. So they need to come to the table. They need to finish up the agreement, and they need to finalize the agreement. And there's not an option for Iran to decide what they want to do.
Settlement that resolves the nuclear issue and all the sanctions and outstanding issues and etc.
Yep.
The sides want to say, well, but before that, we want to see that there's proof that this is being implemented. Articles 4, 5, 10, and 11. If we go back, Articles 4 is the removal of the blockade and the free traffic that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. That is the thing that's most important to Trump and the United States right now. And then Articles 10 and 11.
And they already did that. So they already pretty much implemented a lot of that. So I'll let him go through.
That is, the United States undertakes immediately after the signing to lift the sanctions on Iranian oil. And
they did that. They're able to kind of load oil on China ships and let it come out of the port, because we opened our blockade. So we did that.
That as progress continues, the United States is going to start releasing those frozen assets.
And we're not going to release the money to let them do whatever they want, but we gave them $6 billion to feed the people and have do certain purchases that are American products to be able to feed their actual citizens. That's why we locked them in, so our country can make money off of them needing to feed their people. So all that stuff like that, and clothes and whatever was going on, that they got to use products and they got to purchase products and stuff from us and from our structure in order, and it's a benefit for us. So let you know we're bullying them. I already showed you guys that in the previous episode. It was if you remember this article right here. This was a financial situation where it says Iran to get access to $6 billion of frozen funds to buy U.S. goods, and it tells you. I already read this in the previous episode, so please understand that this is an encompassing episode and all that stuff. That's why I'm keeping the thumbnail on it the same, so you kind of know that those are together. But you got to look at them in a row and like pretty much in a order and stuff like that. But anyway, it shows them that they gotta only buy certain specific things from America and things that America allows for them to purchase. They don't have no choice. The money will be they can't utilize the money unless they purchase these certain things. So it's almost like we say, okay, this is what you can purchase with it. Pick what you want. Clothing, stuff, equipment, all that stuff like that, and we'll ship it over to you and all that other stuff. So it's almost like a bully of locking them into what they could purchase with the money. Okay, so that's what that is.
The wording of that. What this means. If we look at Article 13, following the signing of this memorandum, and after assurances regarding 4, 5, 10, and 11. So what that means is 4 and 5 is the.
I already told you about that. He already went over that and went back to go look at it. So now, I don't know what he's showing on the screen here.
So those things are what the sides are demanding. And then Article 14, the final agreement will be approved through a binding resolution. That, according to reports, has already been done. But Article 11, that Iran is demanding that there be assurances regarding the commencement and implementation of Article 11. Mind you, Article 11 is what says that there will be a release of the frozen assets. The fact that that's incorporated here is, again, a moment of analysis, is glaring in showing that Iran's demand that its frozen assets be released, Iran was demanding half. I don't know if that'll happen, but demanding the commencement of Article 11 will take effect before any negotiations take place is largely what Iran was demanding. That the
And remember, this is a leaked actual was supposed to be a leaked memorandum. Now we're like 3 or 4 days past. We know we haven't released any funds to them. They haven't got half of the money that's on frozen because they got to get through the deal. They got to actually come to agreement of the deal. There's no way we're going to just release all your money or half of your money for what? For to get you to the table? That means you got leverage over us. You know, so that now, but even if everybody theorized that they were going to get that because of whoever leaked this file and propaganda or leaked this version of information and propaganda, now you know it ain't true. All they got was $6 billion in funds that they got to purchase specific things that we want. And I'm going to go to some press conferences and stuff to show you. So we know that this is not true, that they're getting half of their stuff from
released of their assets.
So we can go to 14.
The frozen assets of Iran
Let's go
to be unfrozen. So those things are what the sides are demanding. And then Article 14, the final agreement will be approved through a binding resolution of the UN Security Council. The reason why that's important to Iran primarily is because also the Obama deal was sanctioned by the UN Security Council. The United States, under Trump, withdrew from it anyway in 2017. However, by adding something to the UN Security Council, it not only adds a lot of leverage, it also means that all of the other countries in the world essentially remain bound to this. It's become something that is binding.
Yeah, and I explained that to y'all in the previous episode. They putting it as an approval with the United Nations Security Council, it makes it where the world knows that this is the deal, this is the document, this is what agreement that they actually signed, the final agreement that they signed and they agreed upon. So once this final agreement is done and is signed by both parties, and we send it to the United Nations Security Council, the world looks at it and say that you got to be a man of your word, and the United States of America can't do no crazy stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get people pulling out of the actual currency and going to the Russia, China currency, because they got some kind of, I forgot the name, but they're trying to do what we did with the US dollar. But it's not working so well because nobody trusts China, nobody trusts Russia, so everybody's still staying with the American dollar. So, make a long story short, it puts everybody on spot that they agreed and they signed to the final agreement in the document that will be finalized in this meeting that they're having. So,
international law, and therefore, if there's a removal of sanctions, European countries cannot say we are reimposing sanctions on Iran based on our own provisions if the UN Security Council adopts a resolution saying no more sanctions or something like that. So that's why that would be very important to the sides.
Okay, so let's go to the... Okay, what I want to go to is I want to go to oppressor. Let me see. I want to go to what the actual... I want to go to what Americans are saying that's in the document and stuff. Okay, here we go. So let me go to this PDF. Okay, so, and it's pretty much the same. You get what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna try to read it. I'm not so great at it, but I'm gonna try to read it to see if it's kind of somewhat in the stay in the same thing that we seen in the previous two versions of the actual the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran and their allies in current war by signing this MOU declares the immediate and permanent termination of military operation on all fronts, including Lebanon, and undertake from now on not to initiate any war or any military operation against each other, and to refrain from the threats of use of force against each other, and ensures the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon. And that's pretty much a poison pill that looks like Iran probably wanted to do, that Israel ain't gonna abide by. So it's under Iran to try to hold tight to this, like to that poison pill, because all it is going to blow up the oil fields and stuff. So the final deal will confirm the permanent termination of the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and other provisions of this paragraph. The United States of America and Islamic This number 2. The United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran undertakes to respect each other's sovereignty and territory integrity, and to refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs, meaning how they treat their people. If they decide to do any hangings or crazy like killings of their people and stuff like that, they ain't got nothing to do with it. It's a civil war that, like, we can't be attacking Iran based on what they do and all the other stuff, and vice versa. They can't attack our military bases all over the world and all the other stuff and everything. Number 3, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran commit to negotiation and achieving the final deal in the maximum of 60 days, extendable with mutual consent. We already went over this. Like, they're coming together. They're negotiating the key points that's in the Memorandum of Understanding, and they coming to a agreement of how to implement that and how to execute on it, and what's the conditions of it, and if they need to extend it because they see mutual, like, respect, or, like, let's say they see some kind of like honorable process of negotiation. Both parties would have to decide, hey, okay, let's extend it for another 60 days, or let's extend it for another day or 30 days or whatever. But if one side decide, no, we need to have a final agreement, we don't need to drag this on no more, then they gotta make sure that they got the final deal in 60 days from, I think this is from Wednesday or Thursday. So they got about, but it's 3, 4. So they got about 56 days left. Okay. So that's pretty much what that is. Number 4, immediately upon the signing of the MOU, the United States of America will begin to remove its blockade, meaning to let the ships come out, but also they gotta not shoot missiles and stuff like that. I already kind of gave this. I don't need to repeat it. I'm trying to do a quick summary of it. Immediately upon the signing of this MOU, the United States of America will begin removal of its naval blockade, and any disturbance or what the fuck? What's wrong with me in my reading? Any disturbance or impediment. What is this? Impediment? Sorry. I can't even read. That lets you know how tired I am.
Impediments.
Okay. Impediments. Okay. Let me read that again. Sorry about that, y'all. Immediately upon the signing of this MOU, the United States of America will begin the removal of its naval blockade and disturbance of impediment against the Islamic Republic of Iran, and will fully end the naval blockade within 30 days. But that would be because we don't see no purpose of having it there. During this period, the traffic of vessels will be in proportional to the number of pre-war traffic being restored by the Islamic Republic of Iran, meaning that it will go back to full travel like ships coming in, getting oil, and leaving and stuff. The United States of America will further undertake to remove its forces from the proximity of the Islamic Republic of Iran within 30 days after the final deal. So whatever we finalize in the agreement, that will give us confidence that we don't have to be there to blow up Iran no more, and our ships don't have to kind of really disintegrate all the bridges and the oil fields and all the other stuff. So of course we ain't gonna want to keep no ships there for nothing. Upon the signing of the MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements. This is number 5. Upon the signing of the MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days only from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the needs to removing the technical and military obstacles, meaning that booby traps and all that stuff like that, underwater bombs and everything like that, they will make sure. But look, like I told you, it's 24 to 30 ships, big giant $300 million to $1 billion oil ships been going out of there literally in a day. That area, like the Strait of Hormuz, in a day. If you got 24 to 30 ships leaving that area, they would have hit like a underwater booby trap or something. So they technically, if you're pretty smart about it and our intelligence and everything, I'm pretty sure we're watching it. We see that they really didn't have it as booby trap as they tried to make people think they had it. Okay, but they said that they got to make sure that they remove all that stuff within the 30 days. But obviously, with the people traveling out or the ships traveling out, you can see they really ain't got a lot in there. And if they do, they're removing it so no ship may bump into it, anything like that. The Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue with Sultanate of Oman, so I guess the Oman, to define the future administration and maritime services of the Straits of Hormuz. How people get to come in and how people move out, meaning that they can't do no tolls or anything like that to put pressure on ships coming in to get oil from Oman. Oman, I think they call it Oman. And pretty much to travel inside of the Strait of Hormuz, they can't really do any preventing the movement of traffic through there. But they're going to go into a document. They're going to go into a structure of administration of how and what's the rules of how people move around in the Strait of Hormuz. So they won't ever have a situation where Iran just have the power of blocking it. Okay. Discussions with other Persian Gulf states in the line with the literal states in the line with the epical international law, meaning that Straits of Hormuz is international waters, meaning that Iran cannot have power and regulation over what ships come in and how ships leave. So it's gotta be applicable to the international law. I mean, it's gotta be pretty much under the international law and how the regulation of the international law, meaning that it's international water and you can't have ownership of it. And the sovereignty and the sovereign rights of the coastal states of the Strait of Hormuz, meaning that you can't dictate ships coming to other countries using the Strait of Hormuz, because that's the coastal line for all the other countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, and different places. They utilize that Strait of Hormuz as an international water, so you can't regulate it. Iran can't regulate it. That's what it means, and they're going to come to an agreement to say it on paper and documentation and to make sure that they abide by it. Number 6, the United States of America undertakes the regional partners to develop a definitive mutual agreement plan with at least $300 billion for reconstruction and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The mechanism for the implementation of this plan will be finalized as part of a final deal within 60 days. All required licenses, waivers, permission needs to be relevant. Financial transaction will be granted by the United States of America. Meaning that because everything is ran in the US dollar and the SWIFT and all the other stuff, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, any other country can't even help Iran build buildings or repair their roads or repair their power grids and stuff like that. They can't even help them with it because the money that they will use to give it to construction or construction companies and all the other stuff is ran through SWIFT. So we have to give the permission. We have to actually have our systems open up and give actual permission, codings and all that stuff for that transaction to be able to be done. So obviously from what I'm hearing, and like I said, this is not the true document that we're reading. This is everybody's interpretation of it and their perception of it, and what they're kind of reporting that they've read from it or was read. This was read to them. So all this is under. This is, like I said, this is part of the Memorandum of Understanding. So these are key points, but they're to be negotiated and to find and finalize understanding in the agreement that's inside there. I think they go to Switzerland to do the deal, to actually do negotiation and document the deal. So none of this stuff is binding because it's the Memorandum of Understanding, meaning that there's key points that they want to discuss, or they want to kind of find a way to kind of negotiate to keep it in the context of what's in the Memorandum of Understanding. But at the same time, is based under whatever happens in the meeting and the discussion of the actual topic. Okay, so it's saying that we will grant the other countries the option of giving $300 million in reconstruction of Iran to kind of repair, which they said they did. They said we did like trillions of dollars of damage to them. So, which they can't even get the 300 billion unless we feel that their nuclear program is done, is totally end, and that they kind of not doing anything shady to allow people to come in, grab it, disintegrate it, make sure that every element of it is destroyed. The United States of America will undertake to terminate all types of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, including United Nations Security Council resolutions. And this is like sanctions and stuff like that. This is saying like take all the sanctions off of us and give us the money that y'all freezing and y'all holding inside the SWIFT banks and all the other stuff like that, and the SWIFT systems and stuff like that. Let us allow us to have transactions with other countries and everything like that. Let us be part of SWIFT again, and that we can kind of utilize money again, pretty much. And that will be based on the final agreement that we have in the negotiation that's inside of Switzerland, and all the stuff that they gotta agree to by 60 days. That's what that is. Okay, I'm gonna try to summarize this real quick, but it's somewhat seeming like it stand to where the previous it's wording different. So that's why I tell you it's somewhat that you got to go through all three process to kind of see what it's saying, because all three of them are worded different. They summarizing it, they saying it in details and stuff, and then politically Fox News and them, because they anti-Iran, they putting it as to make it look like it's a bad deal for Trump and everything. So they kind of put certain phrasing in there that may not be exactly what's in the document, but I'm looking at it and I'm saying it's somewhat the same. But at the same time, all this is, no matter what's in this memorandum of understanding, a memorandum of understanding are key points of what we're going to talk about, what we're going to come to an agreement, what we're going to negotiate to come to actually have it finalized to what we're asking for, and how we put it into the memorandum of understanding. Because it's like America said, okay, what are you looking for us to what are you looking for you to not have us kill you and blow up everything that's left of your country, and you stop messing around with the Straits of Hormuz and messing with ships passing through, and people don't want to get their 300 billion to $300 million to $1 billion ships blown up because you shoot missiles and stuff. Well, what's agreement that we could come to, or that would stop you from doing that? They would say, well, we want you to release some money to us so we can feed our people. We would say, okay, we can put that in the deal, and let's put that as a key point. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about the procedures that you want to do on that. And you know what? Better yet, if you make sure that there's no booby traps, if you make sure that there's no shooting missiles while all these ships are exiting out of the Strait of Hormuz, we will give you $6 billion to feed the people, to kind of purchase certain products and everything that we feel that you need to purchase with it. We will make sure you get that. That a good deal? Just to open up the Strait of Hormuz. They say, okay, that's a good deal. They put it into the memorandum of understanding. This is what's going to happen first, okay? And then they say, okay, well, we want to talk about you unfreezing all our money. Well, we'll put that into the discussion of the agreement, the final agreement that we want to have, the document that we want you to sign. We're going to sign, that will finalize the interaction of our war, and that we'll never have to go into war with each other again, because we'll come to agreement on this. We'll put it as one of the topics, or one of the points that we're going to come into a final conclusion and final agreement on. And they put it into the memorandum of understanding. So that's all they're kind of doing. Certain things they're agreeing to do right up front. We'll open up our naval ships to allow all the ships to exit out of the Strait of Hormuz. We'll let you even make money to sell oil to China, and let your Iranian ships come out of the ports with oil and go into to China and come back in, and we won't mess with your ships. We won't blow them up. We won't do nothing like that. We'll allow for you to make money off of that and stuff like that. We'll do that initially. Right now, we'll put that into the deal. We'll put that into the memorandum of understanding that we're gonna. You agree to this, to discuss all these things and negotiate with all these points to us. We'll do this right up front. You'll do this right up front. So they kind of, certain things that they do initiate, because they initiated the conversation, the negotiation of the deal, and there's certain things that they don't get until they finalize the agreement, and they show that they're actually doing all the things that they agreed to do in the deal, the final deal. That's what is going on here. So it's a very wonky. I know I'm boring you guys with this stuff, but I'm trying to make you understand what's the actual conversations, what's the propaganda, what's the manipulation of word and phrasing and stuff like that, and the warmongers, how they're kind of communicating what's the memorandum of understanding is, what the Israel is communicating what the memorandum of understanding is, and how Algeria, the Arabic perception is of the memorandum of understanding. And then most likely in the reading of it and the analyzing of it, we could come together and see what's most likely what's in there. You know what I mean? Okay, so number 8, the Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran have agreed to resolve the disposition of stockpile enriched material pursuant to the mechanism that will be mutually agreed upon in accordance with the schedule mentioned in paragraph 7, with the minimum methodology to be downblended on site under the supervision of the IAEA. The two parties are agreed to discuss the issue of enrichment and other material agreements matters related to the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear needs based on satisfactory framework being agreed upon in the final deal. The final deal will confirm to provision of this paragraph. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran acknowledge the critical importance of the nuclear issue above mentioned and express their intentions to immediately address these issues in the negotiation in order to achieve mutual agreement on them. Which, we ain't letting them have no enrichment, because that's what it says. And if you're down blending it on site, that means that we're disintegrating it and we're actually making it not usable on site. We're not transporting it out the country to destroy it. We're destroying the function of it right then and there, and then we'll take the materials off site and disintegrate it. That's what that means, the down blending on site. Okay? Why would we down blend enriched uranium on site, and then go into a discussion of us allowing them to have enrichment for power or energy or something like that? We're not gonna let you have you don't get no nuclear bombs, no enriched uranium, none of that stuff. You don't get none of that. But we're not gonna put you on it. We're not gonna push you on that right now. We'll discuss it. We'll end up having it in a negotiation. All this stuff that you want with money and all that stuff and unfreezing that, you can't have no nuclear weaponry. You can't have no nuclear power. You can't have no your rich uranium. None of that. That's the deal. And that's what they're going into Switzerland to talk about. And that's what's going to be in the final deal. Okay? But they're telling them right up front, you'll stockpile everything you have right now. If we do excavate that stuff, if we do actually go in there with our equipment, drilling and whatever way our scientists and our actual construction companies can go in there and grab it and get into the mountains where it's at, if it's anything left, if it's any stockpile enrichment material, enrichment is the uranium. If it's anything of it, we're gonna down blend it right there. If they're saying that, why would they let them do something to make or have what they're down blending later? What's the purpose of down blending it now if you're gonna let them have it later for energy or power, a power source? No, there's no nuclear power, no nuclear energy, no uranium, no enrichment of any materials that can form into a nuclear bomb. That's the deal. And you ain't getting no money, you ain't getting nothing until you do this. And you got to meet us in Switzerland, come to a final agreement, negotiate the final agreement, sign on the dotted line. We give it to the United Nations Security Council. That's the end of discussion about nuclear bombs. That's what number 8 that's what it's saying. I'm not what I'm saying it should say, but they kind of have it saying that, and then they have it like, okay, we'll keep talking about this. No, we ain't talking about it. Okay. Pending the final deal, number 9, pending the final deal, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agreed to maintain the status quo. Meaning that you gotta stay where we got you at. Where we bombed the shit out of your actual your mountains and all your labs, your nuclear labs, all the nuclear structure, all the buildings and everything that you had, all that stuff that y'all was doing, all your missiles for your drones, all the buildings for your factories for your drones, all the buildings for your missiles manufacturing, all that stay destructed and destructive, like in destruction, like we did at this moment. We blew up everything. You don't got no Navy. You can't get a Navy ship no more because we blew them all up. So you stay like that. We don't want you to have no Navy. We don't want you to have no scientists because we killed all your nuclear scientists. We killed all your wild radical government officials and stuff. It's certain structures. And whatever we did in this war, that's the status quo. You stayed there. Whatever we did to your nuclear program, it stays there. If anybody comes to that mountain or come to that area, we will blow you up, and we will start blowing up your oil fields and your actual built bridges, and you'll be nothing. And the bad part about that, people will have to start migrating because they have to leave. The 99 million people that live in, or 91 million people that live in Iran, they will have to start traveling out of the country to try to seek a place to eat. You get what I'm saying? To a place to actually have clothing, have any infrastructure, because all the power is going to be gone. All the oil is going to be gone. There's be no reason to take them decades to build oil fields there because they're blowing up stuff it took decades for them to build. So that's what we're saying. Pending the final deal, meaning the final deal. Making sure that we come to a final deal, a final agreement, everything stays the same. It maintains the status quo. The Islamic Republic will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program. Why would we say that? Why would we put that in a memorandum of understanding? Why would we say the Islamic Republic will maintain the status quo of its nuclear program? Because we love where it's at. They got nothing. They can't make nothing. They labs is destroyed. The actual facilities are destroyed. It's buried under rubble. Whatever. If it's anything left to be there, it's buried under hundreds of thousands of tons of rubble, mountain rubble. It can't get. You gotta have a hell of a technology and excavating system to go in there and get it. And that kind of money and technology China or America has. Okay. So they're saying we keep it like how we got it. even in talking about what we're gonna do in the final deal. Okay? And the United States of America will not impose any new sanctions and will not deploy any forces in the region, meaning that we won't blow you up. We won't do anything to you as long as you leave it alone. You keep it at it where it's at. We won't put no new sanctions on you because we don't need to, because you're not interacting with the nuclear power or nuclear rich uranium or any materials that you have or any programs that you guys have for nuclear. So there's no reason to put sanctions on you. So that's what they're saying, okay? Number 10, the United States of America undertakes immediate upon the signing of this MOU, until the termination of the sanction, let me see. The United States of America undertakes the immediate upon the signing of this MOU and until the termination of sanctions, the U.S. Department of Treasury will issue waivers for the export of uranium crude oil and petroleum products. That's what they kind of sell to China from their actual oil fields. So when we open up our blockade to the Strait of Hormuz, and they stopped kind of shooting missiles and stuff at ships to stop them or intimidate them from passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Like I told you guys, there was 100 ships in there, and they've been letting literally 24 to 30 ships out of there every single day now. So that's what that is. In addition to us letting traffic in Iran not messing around doing no ignorant stuff, they're also allowing them to sell their crude oil to China again. So that's because they got to make money to feed the people or have something. Otherwise, they got nothing. You get what I'm saying? So we agreed to that and everything like that. And petroleum products and derivative and all associate services, including banking transactions, insurance, transportation. Okay, that's all. So that's all based on how we feel that everything is going on the agreement. So far, they do got to issue this even a couple days later because Israel start bombing Lebanon again. So they didn't show up to the first meeting, and that might be a problem. I don't know how they're going to deal with that. They might start bombing them again if it goes too many weeks or too many days or something like that, which we got to see. We got to see. Look, this is crazy because, you know, they just open it and Israel don't really like, and it's just like everybody want to go on the ground. Like even our military people, not our military, but our actual commentary, people that are just on the outside looking in, they want us to have troops on the ground in Iran, which you have a higher functioning insurgent fighters like how it was in Afghanistan and how it was in Iraq. You have a more heightened and functional insurgent people inside of Iran, militias and stuff like that. You don't want to put our soldiers on the ground there. But it's a lot of people on Fox News, a lot of generals that's on commentary, a lot of people that's talking shit, watching it and saying, even got Democrats and stuff talking about, oh, that's a bad deal and he should be this and they're going to be just like that. They're talking about like making him, they want Trump to send troops in to do certain missions and on the Strait of Hormuz and the oil fields and to take out the Ayatollahs and they leaders and stuff like that, because the only way they could do it if they go on the ground and do it. And obviously I'm telling you, we're gonna have hundreds of soldiers get killed because you got a hell of a insurgent team and wild radical citizens that will actually kill our soldiers. They won't even see it coming. They'll think it's an innocent person and they'll wipe him out. You don't want to mess around in there. So that's why Trump he ain't messing around. You get what I'm saying? He gonna do that. Okay? So and the transaction of certain things is all based on how they're doing. And all we have left to do, because it's no nuclear program for us to blow up anymore. It's no military bases for us to blow up anymore. It's no naval ships for us to blow up anymore. It's no real threats to us from like manufacturing facilities of missiles and drones for us to blow up anymore. All that's left is for us to take their complete economic power away from them. That would just leave it as a feckless and useless land, and that would be if we blow up the bridges and we blow up the actual oil fields. That's all that's left. But all those bridges and that oil field would give them hope to be an economic system. You blow that up, you hurt the people. You destroy the progress and the fruitfulness and the economic possibility of the people to actually be able to feed their families or get food delivered to them, and all the other stuff. Is just be impossible to even transport anything to the people or anything. It'd be complete destruction. And Trump is really trying to not do that. He's trying to make them say, okay, hey, y'all got nothing to fight for. Nothing to fight for but your future. And let's come into a negotiation to do that. So that's what the conversation is right now. The United States of America undertakes them to make fully available for use the frozen and restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran upon the implementation of this MOU. I want you guys to understand. That let me know that Fox News is corrupt and they're biased, because that's not in the agreement. That's not in the agreement. We're going to release all restricted funds and everything based on a memorandum of understanding, not the agreement. What's the point of going to Switzerland to talk if we giving you all your money? You know what I'm saying? So they know that that's not, but they're putting it in here and they having their readers read this as if that's actually true. But it's actually them trying to see. That's going to go towards negative perception of the deal too. The United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran will mutually agree upon the procedures related to the release of these funds during the negotiations. See, See that? That's a double entendre. That's a double negative right there. If based upon the signing of the implementation of the MOU, like to even just discuss or go into a meeting once they sign it, if I was to release all the funds, frozen funds, why would you need to go into a negotiation with me? See? That lets you know that they're putting phrasing and they're putting negative connotation to the deal into the implementation of what they should be communicating to the actual paragraph. That's why I'm saying, that's why Trump and them need to release the actual signed document. They got to release that. That way people know what's in the actual agreement. And obviously, it's a memorandum of understanding. Nobody's buying to do this until like they get to a final actual agreement and contract that has, this is what we're doing and how we're doing it, and you must abide by this and sign. Once you sign to it, we all bind it to it. An MOU of where the topics and the points that are in a MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, are not binding. So for them to put that in there, and then it's an incorrect like situation. It's like it's like bad writing. The United States of America undertakes to make fully available for use the frozen and restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran upon the implementation of this MOU. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran will mutually agree on the procedures related to the release of these funds during the negotiation. Why? Why would they have to talk about it? Why would it have to come to an agreement of how to release it or the conditions of releasing it if you fully available for use the frozen and restricted funds and assets of why? If you got everything, why we got to talk about it? Or how to implement or how to release it? Such funds, whether retained in the original account or transfers, shall be made fully usable for the payment to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States of America undertakes to issue a necessity licenses and authorization accordingly. Now, remember this conversation was read different in the previous document and the leaked document and all that stuff. So, look, I don't want to labor on this. But let's go to what's going on right now. 3-4 days later, they don't got none of that. They got to go into the meeting. They got to go and negotiate before they get any of that stuff unfrozen. That's how it is right now. So we know this is propaganda. The United States of America, number 12, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agrees that executive mechanisms will be established to monitor the successful implementation of this MOU and the future compliance of the final deal. Okay? And that's why I'm telling people, Republicans, Fox News, people that hate Trump, Democrats, they don't want you to understand there is a final deal. There is a final agreement within 60 days that must be documented and signed and come into agreements on. What's the agreements if everything is binding in the MOU? What's the point of doing an agreement? What's the point of doing the final deal? What's the point of labeling the final deal in the context of this discussion? Because none of this stuff is happening until the negotiation of the final deal is finalized and that is actually implemented. And then that's why they say in the previous thing, they say they got, I think it says it here, I'm sorry, in number 12, United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agree that an executive mechanism, meaning that specific things are monitoring and functioning and making sure that both sides do what they're supposed to be doing. That's what that means, okay? and successful implementation of the MOU and the future compliance of the final deal. Okay? 13. I'm going to make this real quick, y'all. After signing this MOU is subject to the beginning of the implementation of paragraph 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this MOU. That's all the money and everything like that. The continuing implementation of these measures, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran will start negotiating regarding the final deal exclusively on the other paragraphs. The final deal, and this is number 14, the final deal will be endorsed by binding United Nations Security Council resolution. Let me open this up for you so you can see what this is. See? United Nations Security Council. That's what that is, okay? Okay, now this is from the Associated Press. See, this is my problem. This is my problem. Fox News gives you a readout of what the memorandum says. Read it. The full text of the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. The 60 days negotiation period requires Tehran to demonstrate its abandon. Now, they do this as if they did their research. Everybody got they all in the administration's ass. Meaning that they could get the copy of the actual document. But what do? They source Fox News sources the Associated Press. So they get the actual perception of what's in the deal from the Associated Press, which they could have summarized it, they could have abbreviated, because obviously they're not giving you the document. Otherwise, you will see an image, a PDF of the document, the actual document, and you read that. But this is something that's typed out, copy and paste from the Associated Press perception of what's in the actual document. That's why it was worded in a negative way towards us in the deal, or even what Trump agreed to, meaning that I just read something that I can't technically take as like ironclad because it's biased. Associated Press hates Trump. They hate Trump. They got no legitimacy. That's why I always say, even when we do the Associated Press, like you will see, like on election day, you'll see that Fox News has their own they own analyzers that are analyzing who won each state or who won the different regions and different cities and stuff like that. But they are still waiting for Associated Press to call a person that they won this state, they won this city, they won this town, they won this area. They still wait for them to do it, for them to put it on their board, meaning that they're paying people to analyze data that they're not even confident in their own data and analyzation. They still wait till Associated Press makes it valid. I'm telling you, Associated Press is burnt. They're a burnt organization. Look, my disclaimer, this is my opinion, this is how I feel. This is my perception. I allegedly feels this way about them. Or it's alleged that my opinion is alleged, okay? But they're burnt. So all this stuff, kind of like I said, you're reading from Fox News, Associated Press, because you can't even say Fox News, because they didn't even take it from the call. Because I know that it was a person from the administration, they actually called and read it to them. They not even saying, this is what we actually we got from the actual call that was given to us on the phone, and this is a PDF or let's say a draft of what the call said, a transcript of what the call said. They actually said, nope, we're going to go by the Associated Press perception or document of what they perceive that was in the memorandum. So I got to officially tell you guys, this is bias and this is hearsay. The Fox News in Associated Press, we go back to let me go back to it. Give me a second. We go back to the actual reporting from the Israel-Palestine report with Professor Brustein. Israel-Palestine report with Professor Brustein. Even his thing is from a leaked document, but you get what I'm saying? But it's somewhat the same, but it's a whole lot more neutral in the negotiation like it would naturally be. And then additionally to that, I took you guys to Al Jazeera reporting of what's in the actual document. Remember, we went through all that, or you probably got to look at the previous episode, and I went through all that. So those are the three places I think most likely, if you kind of go through the things I showed you guys, the data points that I showed you guys, the sources that I showed you guys in here, you would kind of see what's the most likely. I'm going to have to do a part 3 on this thing. Jesus. Okay? So, I want to go to this real quick, just because he said a couple things in this. I might have jumped in, ahead of this, so let's go to this. I'm going to go to the Q&A.
Down a lot, and they're coming down fast. And with the settlement, so worthwhile. With the settlement where you're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and then we bring them down on top of that, then I think oil prices might get lower than where they were before the war. So I'm going to see you at 4 o'clock, and we'll discuss that a little bit, and we'll discuss other things. But we've had a great meeting. It's been a great summit, and settlement so worthwhile. Conference, and they send ships up and down a strait when their rockets flying over. The stock market has gone. Most people seem to be very happy. Who's really happy is the market, because the market's gone up thousands of points over the last 4 or 5 days since hearing about it. And the strait is going to be opening. It's already partially opened. It's going to be opening up soon in full over the next day or two. And the market has gone wild, and oil has come tumbling down. Oil is at $73 or $74, and it's getting to very close to where it was before the crisis. The difference is now we have Iran without a nuclear weapon. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think people are going to be very happy. But
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even pay attention to people making the comments. How you guys doing? How you doing? Noon Guy 6327. I didn't even know you're really violent fool. Okay, I'm sorry. This is somebody how you doing, man? But look, I understand. Noon Guy 6327, really, you violent fool. They would turn that dollar of you into the worthless paper. Let's make this simple for you. Iran has won. Okay, look. Trump is Israel's puppet. If he continues, okay, will cause the world economy to collapse. In effect, that may now be unavoidable. See, Noon Guy 6327. I don't even like. It's not even that I don't agree with you, and I'm not even trying to make a fight that I disagree with you. I'm just saying, let's logically take ourselves out the equation. How we feel about Trump and all that stuff like that is just really, how can I say? And I'm gonna finish reading. I got 4 more of your comments because I didn't even see you make the comment. I apologize. Let me thank you. Really don't have to type this because I'm actually discussing it as we talking now. But I just want to put it on record. Thank you for the comment. I'm addressing it now. Okay. And I got respect for you, Noon Guy. I'm a fool. I understand. Which, I get it. Look, Trump is polarizing, but let me have a conversation with you about this, okay? Okay, let me put that up there. And you said what damage he could do for the economy is unavoidable and the economy could collapse, okay? So I can't wait for your violent, nasty self to get a taste of Israel loves for you and yours for them. And yours for them. I guess it was a continuation. Heck of a time to sell out they lost. Heck of a time to sell out they lost. So, you know what? It's this anti-Israel thing. I don't give a shit about Israel. Really don't. I really don't. I mean, I say this multiple times. I'm very honest about this. I hate that I think how many people in Israel, how many people in Iran are not worth one American soldier. And we lost an American soldier. We lost 13. So that's already tragic loss for us in comparison. Yes, I do feel that Iran was an issue that sooner or later somebody would have had to actually solve that situation or bring it to a conclusion. Don't let it fester. Don't let it keep being a bouncing ping pong ball to every single president that come along. You get what I'm saying? And then nobody knows how to nobody want to take a side or let's say okay, hey, in the rationalization of do we want to destroy Israel or do we want to destroy Iran? It was to the point to say, hey, y'all so wild and y'all they're hanging and doing stonings and stuff like that. Literally, I watch it. Literally, they Iran does and I'm not saying they don't, because Saudi Arabia does it, and all kind of Middle Eastern country does old-fashioned prehistoric killings for different Sharia law rules or something like that. They do that kind of stuff. It's not our place to stop their religion dominance over their people. That we can't really start a war with them for that, and we shouldn't. But if they are accumulating synchronizing drones that they can shoot 100 drones in one direction, and no matter how powerful your air defense system is, that system is going to get a couple of those missiles or those one-way drones into a military base, and it will hit the military base and kill 7 American military soldiers on the base. That's a reason, just that ability out of a group of people that would do it. That's the reason why you gotta, if they got that capability, we gotta stump that. Why? Because they radicals. They would do it. You get what I'm saying? They randomly would do missiles attacks on Israel and all that stuff. I think I really want to get into this Israel conversation and everything like that, because the Mossad and all that stuff like that. And I get it. I totally get it. And I want you guys to know, and Noon Guy 6327, I want you to know, I'm really not totally against how you feel about the Israel thing. I truly don't think that Trump is puppet. You can see that in interactions that they have, that he's definitely subordinate. If he is Israel puppet, he's a subordinate ass puppet. You get what I'm saying? So in that situation, he just feels like this is an issue that's on the table that keeps coming up in the briefings, and it advances in the briefings that he's getting, the intelligence briefings that he's getting, and he gotta nail it. He just gotta solidify it. It's no value for Trump to attack Israel. I mean, attack Iran on an election year when he got the power of the economy with him and how he's moving. You get what I'm saying? So if he did that, most people, the low IQ thing is to say that he did it because he was threatened and Israel has the gun to his head. Well, you can see the interactions and stuff that's coming out of the actual that's coming out of the actual what would we say what would they call that, the press and the interactions that they're having, the conversations, the private calls that Trump is having with Bibi Netanyahu, that he's crossing the line a lot. Okay, so I get that you feel that way, but that's a lot of propaganda from people like Steve Bannon. But I need you guys to understand, Steve Bannon, I don't know if he's like it's almost like he's like a suicide vest. He literally is. This man has no credibility. He has all that. He just decided to destroy himself and his credibility. And all the people that's talking about even Andrew Tate's in them. You get what I'm saying? Jewish people may be an issue and may be a problem, but in certain topics, in certain situations, it's more about like the pros and the cons. You get what I'm saying? And Candace Owens and everything, like Candace Owens, like all these people, they were 100% okay with the Jewish money, with the Jewish politicians, with the Jewish lawyers, with the Jewish, all that stuff, until they got into a place where it didn't favor them no more. Candace Owens worked for Ben Shapiro. Do you understand that? She actually, there was a time that Candace Owens felt that Ben Shapiro was a legitimate human being, and he never was. He was a piece of shit of a person all the time. So if it was a point that she felt that was a valuable organization for her to work for, she got no credibility. She got no credibility. The guy that they accused of that said that he shot Charlie Kirk, I think it was probably the roommate, and he left his cell phone at home. They don't know where that bed was. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but she said it was a sniper. It was a person in the audience with a gun. Now, all the way to that his microphone was an actual bomb, and it exploded enough to it's ridiculous. No credibility. You get what I'm saying? So this and Tucker Carlson, he's a hack. I don't judge Tucker Carlson for what he's saying right now because it has no credibility. I go back to who Tucker Carlson was in 2015, who Tucker Carlson was in 2016, because it measures up to who he is now. All of these people, I'm not judging them to who they are today, what they're saying today, what they're doing today, how they feel today, what cause they're for today. I'm judging them for 20. I'm telling you, if you're smart and if you're objective, go look at everybody in 2015 up to now and see if they stand with credibility. They won't. Okay? So, thank you. I really do. I like you, Noon Guy 6327. I enjoy your point of view. Okay? So, what I'm going to do, Noon Guy, I took a little moment out for Noon Guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continuate this and stuff in a third episode because we're almost in 2 hours. I don't want to let this go so long that people can't even watch it. Okay, so look, guys, like, share, subscribe. This Individual Perspective Podcast. My name is Daris D. McKinney. I'm your host. And look, I know it's the dead. I'm telling you, I'm going to isolate this Epstein files, Candace Owens, all this stuff. I gotta do a detailed conversation with you guys about this because it's a lot of propaganda. It's a lot of, the bad part about it is people that, like, you would think it's, the credibility is in nobody's. It's in Noon Guy 6327. He's more credible than the people he may listen to and take the propaganda from and take the opinion from. He got more credibility than them. They're compromised. They're all over the place. You know what I mean? You gotta almost eat the meat, spit out the bones with Andrew Tate, with Candace Owens, with Tucker Carlson, with PBD, with Steve Bannon. You get what I'm saying? You gotta eat the meat, spit out the bones, because none of them are credible. Megyn Kelly, all these people are not credible. You gotta judge them. And the good part about it, we gotta pinpoint to where you could judge them at. Yes, the thing about Trump is who people are and what their actual belief system is and the credibility they had. Just their hatred for him made people actually put it out on the table. They may not be conscious of that, but that's what they did. You get what I'm saying? So the cool part about it is that we're able to kind of really take a backseat. The average person, the person is like really ingesting information from these people. We can actually take a step back and observe the real data on all these people, on what talking points they have in the process of what Trump is doing and what these people are doing in the political system, in the Democrats and the Republicans, conservatives and liberals and Christians and atheists. All of them, they have thrown up all who they are on the table, and we are able to look at it. And if we allow ourselves to be objective and take ourselves out the equation, we can see who they are. We can see how much we're slaves to their mindset. So we can take our power back by being able to be a little bit more objective and say, yeah, you got no credibility. You contradicting. You don't stand for anything and stuff like that. So even when I read like Trump is a puppet of Israel, it's okay. I don't care how people feel about Trump. Trump ain't my daddy. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not going to live and die for Trump. I got my own life. I got my own value that I have in myself and have in my value. But he is a great subject to show how much most of our citizens, most of the people, even the people that think they're saying things that are independent and individual, they're not. They don't have an individual perspective. I always say the reason why I came up with Individual Perspective Podcast is because most people, minds are their daddies. Their minds are their mamas. Or their minds are their community. Their minds are their organizations they may be consuming, the society that they're consuming, the rhetoric, the podcasters they're consuming. They don't have an individual perspective where they actually listen to something, they take it into a filter, they vet the shit out of it. They doing a scrutiny, a brutal objective scrutiny, analyzation of what was heard, what was seen, what they read, and then make sure that it's vetted and before they come out and say something out their mouth that's somebody else's mindset, that's somebody else's belief. You shouldn't want to do that to yourself. You never want to make someone else's opinion your opinion. Your opinion should be data, and you're able to articulate and explain why you believe in this position or this situation, and you give facts to why you stand behind it. Most people don't. Most people are subjects of somebody else. That's why you need to develop your own individual perspective, because you wouldn't want to lie to yourself. You wouldn't want to carry on somebody else's propaganda or somebody else's point of view. No matter how great they are, no matter how much you want to be like them, You want to be like yourself with empowerment that you feel that you need economically or whatever. Okay, look, I'm gonna leave you right there. Okay, I'm gonna come back in. We're gonna finish this up. I do want to show you guys some, press conferences and things that they're talking about and stuff. But this made me go deeper into the political and the perceptions and the psychological profiling of this whole discussion on Republicans versus Democrat. Because really, it's Republicans, Democrats, media, ideological point of view against Trump. Everybody feel like they hate this guy, and that's one thing that they all have in common. But what is the thing? I think people hate him because of, like, his lifestyle. But we are Americans. We are yachts. We are Escalades. We are triple cheeseburgers. We are 12-ounce steaks. We are the abundance. That's our personality. And people find out since President Obama that they hate the overindulgence of the personality of Americans or America. It's our personality. We're the abundance culture. You get what I'm saying? We don't want just a studio apartment. We want an apartment with 3 rooms, with 2 rooms. We don't want just a house. We want a house with 5 rooms. We don't want just a car. We got to have a $80,000 car. It's like overindulgence. That's our personality. We don't want just a single burger. We want a triple cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why people hate the culture of America, and this is who we are. And y'all let people liberal ideology, or they for the greater good ideology, take control of how you logically think. And the greater good is a mythological thought process. The truth of the matter is greatness. The overindulgence, the arrogance. That's our culture, y'all. I can do this forever. I can talk about this forever, okay? Look. Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. Hit that like, share, subscribe. I got a good audience here. I hate to leave you, but I don't want to have this go on for 3 hours, because I could. Trust me, I could. But I need you guys to hit that like and share and subscribe. And let me know that you guys are paying attention to it and you're just not clicking on it and clicking off of it and stuff like that. And I'll come back on and I'll finish this up and we go for hours. We go for 24 hours. You get what I'm saying? I can do that to you. I can do that for y'all. It's worth it. It's worth it. We got to get those numbers up. Okay? And if you guys are watching, please hit the subscribe. I'm going to make it worth it. I know you got to deal with my grammar, deal with my communication, but I got a good flow. And it's going to get better. Okay? Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney, and I'll see you in the next one.